accommodation around his house, so that's how it turned into headquarters. And Martin Bormann, he was the guy in charge of these houses here in the Bavarian mountains. Bormann, he started his career very low, but he climbed very high. I mean, Bormann, he would do anything to please Hitler. Bormann licked every wish of Hitler's lips. He was a horrible guy. But it worked for him. Hitler knew he could trust Bormann 100% and made him secretary of the Führer. And this Bormann, he was already concerned in 1937, 2 years before Hitler's 50th birthday, which was April 39. But in 37, Bormann was already concerned what the Nazi party should do for Hitler's big birthday coming up in April 39. And he wanted that to be a very spectacular birthday present. But Bormann had no ideas of his own. And one day in 1937, Bormann, Hitler, and Albert Speer, at the time the favorite architect of Hitler, these three guys went for a walk through the Bavarian mountains, and Hitler pointed to the top of Mount Kehlstein, the mountain where they later on built the Eagle's Nest, and he made a remark saying something like, "Wouldn't it be great to have some property up there?" Well, Bormann heard this, and a few days later he had the idea. He thought, we'll build something spectacular on top of the mountain. So he sent surveyors up immediately to work out how to build a road from 1,000 meters to 2,000 meters to the top of the mountain. Well, these surveyors came back to Bormann and they told him it is impossible to build a road to the top of that mountain because the last 124 meters, it's a cliff, it's like a vertical drop. And these engineers said there is no way we could build a road to the top of that mountain. Bormann was not the man who took no as an answer. So he told these guys, you've got 2 weeks to come back with a solution, but I want a road to the top of that mountain. So imagine these poor guys, they hiked up the mountain once more. The mountain had changed, the cliff was still there, it was just as impossible as 2 weeks earlier to do that. So they came back to Bormann and they said, we still can't build a road to the top, but we have a solution. And then they suggested to finish the road 124 meters below the peak where the cliff starts. And then they said they would build the tunnel and the elevator. And Bormann was thrilled. This was even a better access to the top. Imagine how impressive those days. People were driven up in these old Mercedes-Benz cars as we see them on historic film reels. Beautiful cars on this spectacular mountain road, but then they enter a tunnel lined with marble, granite on the floor, and that takes them to an elevator that looks like it's made out of gold, and that's how you get to the top of the mountain. So Bormann gave the go-ahead for this project right away, and he contracted big construction companies in Germany, in Austria, Italian stonemasons. They got the most qualified people for the job from everywhere, and it was built by paid laborers. It wasn't prisoners of war. The war had not started. Eagle's Nest was built between 1937 and 38. And the war didn't start until September 39. And Bormann was so obsessed to get this birthday present done in time that it was completed after 13 months. This meant 6.5 kilometers of mountain road, 5 tunnels for the road, the tunnel leading to the elevator shaft, and the building on top. An incredible feat of engineering. But Bormann used 2,400 workers for the job. He kept them working day and night. They were working 24 hours around the clock. They worked 8 hours, rested 8 hours, 8 hours work, 8 hours rest in shifts. So sometimes in a 24-hour day, these guys worked 16 hours. He even kept them working through the winter months of 1937-38. Imagine working at 2,000 meters in a blizzard at night time, in winter time, outdoors, a brutal job. But those guys hung in as long as they could because unemployment was high, inflation was high, so everyone who had a job and income was quite happy for it and tried to keep it as long as they could. But we know out of the entries in these ledgers the Germans kept that these guys lasted on the job on the average just between 5 and 8 weeks. And then they had to quit. It was just too much for them. Bormann pushed them to the extreme. not just that he made them work like 8 hours, but 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 he also like changed the legal working hours. Those days they worked 45 hours a week. The unions had negotiated. They called it Hitler's tea house. Tea house in German. Tea house. A place where you sit and drink tea and have small talk, probably with your little finger like this. But it wasn't small talk they had up there. Probably some of the most brutal decisions in world history were made at the Eagle's Nest, but they kept calling it the tea house. And the name Eagle's Nest is the name created by the French ambassador to Germany. He was one of the first unofficial visitors taken to the Eagle's Nest. I say unofficial because by September 1938, the Eagle's Nest had been completed. And this was like half a year before Hitler's 50th birthday. And of course, Hitler knew about this birthday present. You cannot hide in constructions like such dimensions. And like an impatient child before the birthday party. You know, when children see the presents wrapped up the night before, they want to open them right then and now, and they can't wait. Hitler didn't want to wait for his birthday, so he went up already in September 38. And one of the first visitors he took with him was this French ambassador. Now look to the right, you can see the Eagle's Nest on top of the flat mountain, the second highest mountain of Germany with the two peaks, and down the village of Berchtesgaden at the bottom. But what the photos it gets better as we get closer now. You get all these views from the top as well. Yeah, so the French ambassador came back off the mountain in 1938, and he sent a telegram to France saying the Nazis built something that looks like, and then he called it in French, le nid d'aigle, the eagle's nest, because of the position of it. And from that point on, in English, in French, and Italian, but the Allies always called it Hitler's eagle's nest. The Nazis kept calling it the tea house or the tea house. Nowadays, the official name is Kehlstein House, named after the mountain it's on. The tea house or eagle's nest is 25th of April 1945. And that's like the last 2 weeks of World War II in Europe. The war was over on the 8th of May. On the 25th of April 45, the Royal Air Force, the British, had the order to destroy Hitler's headquarters here in southern Germany. And they did a good job. They decimated it. They used 380 bomber planes, mainly Lancaster bombers, big noisy planes, some Mosquito planes, these 318 bomber planes. They flew in an attack lasting a bit over 2.5 hours. The Royal Air Force came from the south, from an air base in Italy, over the peak of the Alps, and then in 2.5 hours they dropped 1,300 bombs. They bombed Hitler's house, Goering's house, the barracks of the SS. They destroyed everything, but they missed the Eagle's Nest. But the Eagle's Nest was at the very top, while the other buildings were at 1,000 meters. And of course the Nazis had anti-aircraft guns, fog machines, state-of-the-art defense around the area, because this was like the Valhalla of Nazi Germany, the area very dear to Hitler. But the British did not lose a single plane at this attack. They returned with the 318 bomber planes to the air base after the bombing, because Nazis had no more soldiers left. At the end of the war, they recruited very young and very old. These were inexperienced teenage boys at these anti-aircraft guns. And imagine when they heard 300 and some bomber planes come over the peak of the Alps, the noise must have been deafening and the sky must have been black.